Hello, Rory, and hello again from the moderators for the summit. It's wonderful to be back with all of you again, midway through what has been a fantastic start, Rory. I hope, like me, you're feeling energized, inspired, hopeful. We've really been enjoying the presentations and contributions from all over the world. Getting used to saying good morning, good afternoon, and good evening as we call in from the different parts of the world, different times of our days, but really coming together around this agenda for an eco-social world. And it's been really an amazing start, Rory. It's been, when we started this conversation, what doesn't feel like a day and a half ago, we actually said, this is a time for new ideas, new friendships, new organizations and professions to come from outside of the areas that we usually interact, who we usually speak to and listen and speak to one another. And it's been such a wonderful journey from my side, Rory. I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing well. I've just been absolutely amazed at the huge level of contributions we've received. And here we are at the halfway point of the summit. We're halfway through, and we've had contributions, as you've said, from all over the world, and people have put a lot of thought and consideration into their contributions. People have been considering what kind of changes we need to make and how we need to make them. One of the really powerful outcomes that we can observe so far is the huge, strong themes that have emerged across many, if not all, of the contributions. We've seen people saying there is a need to shift power to people and communities. We've seen them saying there is a need for direct participatory democracy, well beyond the idea of voting every 3 or 4 years, which in a sense gives power away to somebody else. We've seen key values of recognizing and celebrating our diversity, seeing our diversity as our absolute strength, and also the strengths that lie in our communities that are able to solve problems locally and globally. And also, we've seen a very strong call that as humans, we need to live within nature and not above it. Najma, those are some of the absolute delights and highlights for me, seeing those strong themes come through. What have been some of the highlights for you?
I think for me, it was an early morning start when we opened the summit, and just really, the messages that we started with at that moment. I think it was with Kumi Naidoo who shared the words of Bishop Desmond Tutu when he said, "I'm happy to be a prisoner of hope." And I've been carrying that with me. So, this day and a half, and feeling really inspired when people have said, we need to build hope, build peace. And so the positivity and the enthusiasm that have come from the panelists, from those who are listening in and contributing in the chats on YouTube, just such a commitment that I want to do something. I want to do something where I am, in the place that I am, and I want to contribute, to this vision. That's been an incredible inspiration, despite the urgency of the crisis, despite that we can stare those hard facts, in the face. We can dig deep, for that energy and hope and enthusiasm. I think for me, I really enjoyed listening to the panel of the International Federation of Social Workers. For me, listen to those regional leaders and voices, really connect the social and the climate and environmental agenda in such a strong way, showing us that it is possible to meet some of the critical social challenges we have, while also ensuring that we take care of the planet, as you said, that we're so intricately connected to. Today, I have to share, the fantastic intergenerational discussions that are coming out from the summit, and just hearing young people speak with such a lot of sense and hope and passion and creativity. And we did say that this is a moment when we need to unleash the ideas, unleash our imagination, because our old ideas, old structures just haven't, created an eco-social world for everyone, a world where everyone thrives. And it's been incredible. And I feel very hopeful that we have youth who are thinking and acting and willing, to, as we heard from one of the moderators, roll up their sleeves, and they're ready to work. And that's been, so inspiring. Rory, I've really enjoyed the sessions that I've listened into.
Oh, and me too, and me too. I mean, we could talk for a long time about all of these sessions. And the wonderful thing is that they're all recorded. We can go back to them, we can share them, we can put them on our websites, we can take clips from them and put them in media and so on. And I just so agree with you. I think lots of people in this event, in this Global People Summit, are really experiencing a sense of optimism and connectedness, because for too long we felt isolated and alone, perhaps within our own network, but now we're connecting globally and taking action globally. Behind the scenes, Najma and I have been a part of a group of people, and they're all representatives from the partner organisations that have helped initiate the summit. So it's been a very large group. And we've been watching all of the presentations. We've been watching all of the comments that have been made, and everyone's contributions. And we've done this because we have aimed to develop the People's Charter, a People's Charter for an eco-social world, as an outcome of this event that can take us forward, that can help build this movement into a bigger process so that we end up enacting on the changes we seek. So in this drafting process, we have now come to the point midway in this summit where we want to share with you what we've developed. So I'm going to do that by just sharing my screen, because in the last moments, we have put it online. And this is a draft. This is an absolute draft. So everybody knows the website. This is what it looks like. And to find this draft, you need to go to Get Involved and then join the discussion on the People's Charter for an Eco-Social World, and click on that. And there you have it. And it's open to everyone, not just people in the summit, but it's open to everyone in the world. So feel free to tweet this, to put this on social media, but bear in mind it is a draft that's just going to last until we work together to put a new version that we all have confidence in on the spot on the website. So Najma and I are just going to very quickly kind of highlight some of the areas in this draft, and then at the end we'll talk to you about how you make your contributions, because it's so important that all of us shape this draft, contribute to this draft. And as Antonio Guterres said in his opening remarks at the summit, we all have a responsibility, and this is part of our responsibility, to help shape a charter that will help move us from all of our diverse places in the world forward together. So we're not going to read through it, we're just going to kind of make comments on it. And I'll just start by saying we have an introduction here. And in the introduction, which is very short, this place here, it talks about the Charter being a living document and reference point. A living document in the context that as more populations and more people get involved, this document needs to evolve, it needs to adapt, so it includes and encompasses everyone, so that people from different cultural perspectives and traditions can look at this document and say, I see something really important from my cultural wisdom in here. So we recognize the need for this document to grow and evolve. The introduction also says that this will initially be presented to the 2022 United Nations High-Level Political Forum and Global General Assembly, where the government, the world leaders will be invited to join us in this work to co-build and co-design a new eco-social world, but it will also be a call for action for them to honour the pledges of the past and to change the structures and the processes in order to make everybody involved in the decisions that affect them in their lives. So Najma, I don't think we need to go through the development of the Charter, people can read that. So I'll just pass over to you in talking about the values.
So I think one of the outstanding features of the conversations and the connections that we've made, even as we've come together virtually, you know, you start having conversations, you can clearly pick up that what's brought us all together here is this commitment to an eco-social world, but also really deep values based on respect, understanding, celebration of our differences, consensus on the need to work for our shared future. And so we put together a range of principles and values that we think really reflects this best. And so these are reference points for the development of our shared futures. We invite you to look at them. Among them, you would find some that you might recognize from your part of the world. One that I recognize from my part of the world, Ubuntu, the fact that I am because we are, and it really reinforces that idea of the sort of connections between ourselves and the fact that we are parts of communities, families, societies, nations. Buen vivir, love and care for people and the planet, responsibilities and holistic rights. As you've said, Rory, a strong feeling throughout the summit that we need to relook that relationship with nature and take humanity out of this people versus nature to people and nature, and seeing ourselves, as part of nature. One of my colleagues always says, we are nature, we are a part of nature, and really incredible values, put down here, and we'd love your comments. This document charter is our charter, and so we really do need your voice. We invite you to look at this and see whether your vision, your values is represented here. Over to you, Rory.
Thank you so much, Nejma. So the next section is called Implications for Our Sustainable Shared Futures. Shared futures is a term that's used in this document. It's not one future, one dominant future for us all, but a context of shared futures working together and recognizing our diversity. So I'm not going to read through it, but I just want to sort of read the first couple of words of each point here. So we've got co-developing reciprocity, reciprocal relationships with each other, recognizing and respecting each other in reciprocal relationships, co-building peace, co-living with nature, co-creating social justice, and co-realizing equality.
So today, thank you, Rory. Today and throughout the summit, we've heard that we need to find ways for people to own their power. I remember such an interesting statement in the opening speech. It says that, our leadership, our governments, they gain legitimacy through our support and our trust and our faith in them. And if our trust and faith has been shaken, we have to tell them, you're not keeping, your side of the bargain. You're not keeping your side of the deal. And today, it's really the time that we come together. We realize the importance of that agency that people hold, and we begin to co-design and own, these change processes and become active. We wanted to find out from you not only what should be in this charter, but how do we work together beyond this people's charter? And I think, Rory, it really brings us to the part of the charter that's all about actions that we can do together. And there are a few actions that are already here, but we would definitely invite to hear, from you. Amongst them, you'd find, how do we shift our thinking around nature from exploitation to recognizing the rights of nature for sustainable coexistence? How do we begin to tackle economic reform? Our economies are not working for everyone. How do we go from measuring economies by profit to sustainable well-being societies and the well-being and health of our planet? Rory, over to you.
Okay. And also, how do we move global understanding from a context of nationalism or national introspection to global cooperation, and how do we build that solidarity as a sort of key effective point of what we can do together, recognizing that as a key action point. Work has been highlighted, and from being undervalued and not recognized to recognition in the workplace and decent working conditions has been a theme that has emerged. And also state social protection systems, supporting governments and supporting a change in policy design So rather than reacting, the government's social protection systems reacting to people or reacting to communities after a crisis has occurred, but working with people and with communities in prevention and supporting them to develop their health and their well-being under their leadership, under their guidance, working with and not having services for people.
Thank you so much, Rory. I mean, I think each of us see a part of ourselves, a part of our lives, a part of the issues that we're working on in this agenda for action. I mean, I can just share with you, sometimes we think about the word, the word solidarity. And I know, Rory, you explained it very beautifully, that as important as it is to make sure that national and local priorities are met, we are part of a global family, a global community. And we know that the strength of that community and our care for one another has been shaken through this pandemic. We've dealt with vaccine inequality. We all understand that unless, we beat this pandemic, together, it will linger on longer. And so the importance of coming together, in solidarity, to care for one another and to care together for the bigger challenges that we are going to be facing, that of the climate crisis, that stares us in the face. I think that solidarity is incredibly needed. I mean, all of the actions are ones, I think, that really, when we sit and we think about it, they touch our lives. As we've seen, we've just gone through a global pandemic, but I'm sure there's not one person listening, watching us and whose lives, whose work lives, whose home lives, family, community, this global challenge has touched all of us. And we've realized the importance of investing in people, investing in care. And that's what we will need to invest in to face the challenges ahead of us. I think, a final word from my side, Rory, before we look at how we can contribute and become part of it. I really think that this summit, is really just an indication of how we can have many more people summits at local and regional, at national level, to co-design and co-build a new eco-social world. We really need diversity of ideas, approaches, pathways to come into building, filling up, the toolbox that we're going to be needing. And so we really hope that the People's Global Summit will unlock many, many opportunities for us to continue to act and work together in the same spirit of hope and enthusiasm and respect and understanding that we have thus far. So, Rory, how can we have our say on the Charter?
Well, we can have a say now, and we need to keep having a say as we move forward. So just to remind all of us that this summit, once it's over, is not over. The summit will finish on the 2nd, but we will work together, we'll continue working together, we will have more summits. And I think that many of the comments that we've heard is how do we build more local voice into this? We already have a huge range of communities contributing, but there's more to be learned, and there's more connection to be made. And one of the challenges as we move forward will be the next time we come together, how do we have more communities engaged, providing their solutions, having the discussions around these issues in their communities, and then bringing their wisdom to the global stage to share, to co-learn, and to take co-action in moving forward. But right now, we all have a task. Right now, we've all got to have a very good look at what we have in front of us. And the way to do that, as I said before, is to go to the website. We all know where it is. Go get involved, join the discussion on the draft People's Charter, and then you can read it. Now, there's lots of ways you can make your comments. I'm sure people in the panels that are coming up will make comments and discuss this. I hope so. People can make comments in all of the sessions, but we've added an additional way for you to make a comment, which is in this note at the top, which says that this is a draft for your comments. There's a click here button as a way for you to make a comment. So I'll click on that, and it will come to a form. Hopefully, my computer's running a little slow, but Yes, there it is. And feedback on the People's Charter for a New Eco-Social World. Now, what we'd really appreciate is for you to make quite specific comments. You can say whatever you like, whether you think additions need to be made or wording needs to be changed or something needs to be taken out. And you can make as many feedback reports as you like. But for the ease of digesting it for this huge team of people, we just ask you if you can make each comment 300 words, because what we don't have time to do is to read a thesis on this. So we're asking you to be quite concise in the way that you deliver your feedback. And you'll see in the charter, I'll go back to there, the paragraphs are numbered. And so when you give your feedback, it would be really helpful if you could say, look, on paragraph 5, we would suggest a change, or we would like something taken out, or whatever you've got to say. So the representatives from this enormous range of organizations and people associated with this summit will see all of your comments. And we're working together in the background. We are going to, our aim is to construct and include as many as the comments as we can to make sure that all people are represented in this process. And then we'll come back to you in the closing ceremony with that version of the charter, the People's Charter for an Eco-Social World. So I hope that's clear. And we, Najma, we so thank everybody for their time, their contributions. Yeah. And
so thank you, Rory, for taking us through that. You know, this needs to be shaped and reflect, you know, as we've said, you know, People's Charter for an Eco-Social World. And I'm really excited if the feedback during the sessions are anything to go by, that we're going to get, you know, wonderful suggestions, ideas, not only on the charter, but on actions that we can take forward together. So it's been wonderful to reconnect, Rory, during this energizing, you know, day and a half, and to do a, you know, have the wonderful opportunity to share this with everyone at the summit. And as I said, broader than the summit as well. So please feel free to share this amongst our networks as well. I think all of us should try and do that.
Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Najma. Always so wonderful working with you. And we will see each other again in the next upcoming sessions, and again also in the closing ceremony.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.